Updates now coming in from Europe, where Russia has launched a massive attack on Ukraine, firing over 400 drones and a ballistic missile overnight. Strikes hit Vinnytsia, Kharkiv and the president's hometown of Kryvyi. One woman has died and more than 24 were injured, including a teenager now in critical condition. The Blitz damaged infrastructure and cut power and water supplies. This escalation comes just days after US President Donald Trump warned Russia to accept a peace deal within 50 days or face tough sanctions. Russia continues its summer offensive despite calls for a ceasefire. Peace talks remain stalled. We're once again joined by Rabinder Sachdev to discuss the ongoing Russia and Ukraine conflict and the recent developments. Rabinder, we've seen the aerial strikes once again sent over from Moscow to Kiev. This obviously as well comes just a day after Donald Trump announced the shipment of Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine. What are your thoughts on the president's current stance towards the Russian president and obviously towards the escalating violence on the battlefield?
The stance of Trump that we see, which is shaping up now against Russia and Putin, it definitely is hardening. You know, it reminds me of way back when he was campaigning, and that's when he had positioned and thrown out a formula which I thought would be what he is working towards, or he will, when he claimed that within 24 hours he will stop the war. Therein, Trump's idea was he will threaten Putin, stop the war, or I'm going to arm Ukraine to the hilt and they're going to ravage you. On the other hand, he would have talked to Zelensky and said, stop the war, or otherwise I'm cutting off all your military aid and money. Right. Now, the first few months of his presidency, the last 4 months, 5 months that Trump has been, it seems, he was giving leeway, tagging along with Putin. But now it seems to me that he's coming back to his original formula, equation, that he is going to give Ukraine weapons more and more, but to that, he's adding the threat of sanctions, right? Sanctions on countries which buy oil, energy from Russia, primarily being China and India, the large ones, that they'll be slapped with 100% tariffs on their exports to the United States. Now that, I mean, on the face of it, on paper, and if you look numbers-wise, that is a hammer that can be there. In fact, Lindsey Graham, the senator who's introduced this bill, they are calling, in fact, for 500% tariffs. So, but let's say Trump is talking 100%. So what it shows is that in the coming days, once again, 50 days, when these 50 days get over, Putin, as of now, if we see, it seems Russia is carrying on, and by launching these even heavier attacks, it could indicate that Russia is, showing the thumbs up to, or a thumbs down to Trump. But on the other hand, there's a school of thought which says that, okay, Putin will aim to capture as much as he can within the next 50 days and then see where. But going by the track record of the Russians and the Russian army in 50 days, I don't see them achieving any quantum jump in their military victories. They are moving along like a grinder. Russia is not able to, reach its military objectives. That's what I would say. But on the whole, yes, so the 50 days period when it ends will be a very interesting period to see both for Russia and also for other countries who do trade with Russia.
Rabinder, how should people take this tariff threat? How damaging will they be to Russia if they are imposed on, as you mentioned, the biggest buyers of Russian oil, India and China, along with others, Moscow allies? Should Ukraine be happy about this decision that Donald Trump has made?
The damage the impact would definitely be huge on the Russian economy and also on economies of some other countries like, again, China and India, which import. With respect to Ukraine, should Ukraine be happy with what Trump has announced? I think Ukraine is partially happy and partially not happy. Ukraine is partially happy that, okay, fine, it's starting to get the weapons flow again, right? But Ukraine is not happy that the sanctions which have been talked about have been again delayed for 50 days. Ukraine, Zelensky would have much more liked that, even yesterday or whenever uh, Trump announced that, okay, we are sending more patriots, we'll gather them, NATO countries will send it, and NATO will buy from America. So Trump is positioning to his base that I'm not pouring money into a sinking hole. It's the NATO, the Europeans that are paying us the money and buying the Patriot systems. Okay. So that, that tap has turned on for Ukraine. But Ukraine is not very happy right now because they would want the sanctions to be imposed ASAP immediate.
Rupinder Sachdev, thank you very much for joining us.